Hey everybody, what is happening? It is Crypto Bobby. Hope you are having a good night or a good day wherever you're watching in from. It's 9 p.m. if you're on the East Coast like me in the U.S., but if you're somewhere else in the U.S., if you're in Europe, if you're in Asia, if you're in South America, I'm sure the time zone is going to be all over the place for you, but I really do appreciate you taking the time to join me regardless of where you are right now. And being that it is Crypto Happy Hour tonight, I picked out the grocery store I went to. I didn't have time to go to the liquor store, but the grocery store I went to had one random-ass beer, and I went with it and got chocolate peanut butter porter. So this is either going to be delicious or it's going to be disgusting. So we'll find out now in a second here. But looking forward to talking to everybody tonight about what's been happening in the crypto market. Good day for Bitcoin. It's pulling back a little bit now off of its highs in the day, where it's at about $7,300. But a good day for Bitcoin. Not a great day for the majority of other crypto out there. Most crypto is down on the vast majority of crypto is down on the day in comparison to Bitcoin. But yeah, looking forward to talking to everybody about what is happening in the world of crypto. Yeah, Nick C, that is disgusting. We'll take a first sip and see. Kind of tastes like a peanut butter chocolate milkshake, and I don't know if I like it. So, dude, little skeptical for sure. I don't know if I could have more than 6 of these, but I guess we'll find out tonight now. What's up, Australia? What is up, Philly? What is up, Fresno, New York? Hope you guys are having a good one. And happy to start getting into these questions right away. You guys, as usual, I will try to get to as many questions as possible. But if there's something that you really, really absolutely must have answered, hit me up in the super chat, and I will be able to answer that in the super chat as quick as humanly possible there as well. So let's hop into it. Thanks for joining, Prashant. Appreciate that. Seattle, Boston. What is up? What is up? So the first question I'll take a look at here is Frank. What do I think of Substratum? Substratum is a little bit on the smaller end, quite frankly, in terms of like doing a ton of research on my end. Gravy Train, how's it going, my dude? Substratum's a little bit on the smaller end in terms of me doing a ton of research. It had that pretty solid pump after its ICO and has subsequently cooled down quite a bit from its ICO. Let me actually fix this a little bit. Subsequently cooled down quite a bit since the ICO, but is performing fairly. It's been holding fairly steady in the past couple months or so. I believe primary market's on Binance. Let me take a look here. Yeah, Binance is actually starting to pick up quite a bit of volume on a lot of these smaller altcoins here. So pretty interesting to see there. Taking a look here real quick, hopping over to Substratum, foundation of the decentralized web. Yeah, $13 million ICO raise, and they're trading right now at around $31 million. So I don't know the exact circulating supply. It looks like the good amount of Substratum, but I need to do a little bit more research overall. It's a little bit on the smaller end for me to have done. I think it's sub 100 in terms of the overall coin market cap at this point in time, but definitely need to do a little bit more research to develop a real solid opinion. NYC, what's up? What up, Chris? Storage pumping right now. We'll take a look at that. So Storage had a couple interesting partnerships as well. Wow, yeah, Storage is up 35%. That ain't bad at all. Storage had a couple interesting partnerships in the last week. First, they announced they're partnering up actually with Props and YouNow. So as a lot of you guys know, I'm working with Props on advising their ICO, and I thought that was an interesting use case on their end. It's actually nice to see two decentralized crypto companies, currencies, working together to actually make a legit use case and make sure that products are being used. So the video that ends up being stored or recorded on YouNow or on Props is going to end up being stored on Storage, which is pretty cool. So I don't know if this pump has anything to do with that, or if there's some external factors that are involved. So Interesting to see. I think storage is, I like storage. There are a number of different cryptocurrencies out there that are going after this cloud storage, decentralized storage, whether it's Filecoin, whether it's Siacoin. They're all taking kind of different approaches, but I think this is a pretty legit use case as well. Somebody mentioned, could you make a living trading crypto? It depends on how much money and how good you are at trading crypto. For me personally, I make my living elsewhere. I work in software sales. I have a day job. I don't sling BitConnect referral loans. So I do work for a living, like I'm sure a lot of you guys do. Somebody mentioned, can you talk about USI Tech? They promise 140% ROI and have an MLM system paying commission. Yeah, that's BS. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, but if you want to, you touch it. Felipe, did you guys hear about the Tezos founders being hit with another lawsuit? Yes. There we go. It's on Reuters and CoinDesk. But yeah, I mean, the big thing about Tezos, and it's interesting that and thank God I didn't put my money in this. I had a buddy who was like, yo, Tezos, everybody's telling me Tezos is going to be the best new thing. Tezos this, Tezos that. And I looked at it, saw it was an uncapped ICO, and was like, no, I'm out. No, thank you. No way. But they raised $230 million, $232 million. Yeah, I am hating on others making money through scamming people. That's just me. But Tezos is interesting because I think the size of the money that they raised is something that really puts a big target on their back from an overall perspective of how, when you go out and raise $200-something million and there is an argument between founders, there's an argument between the founders and the Tezos Foundation, and that money is hung up in there, then that in that scenario, that puts a big target on their back. And I think that, unfortunately, maybe Tezos is going to have something to do with how ICOs are considered in the future. With some of the it might impact some regulation. So we'll see. Patson, what's going on? Buy Lisk now or weep later. I think Lisk, we talked about it yesterday, but Lisk is an interesting platform, no doubt about it. It depends a little bit as far as how it can really compete with something like Ethereum. I think that the talent, that's a big thing. The talent itself has to be, really, the talent itself is quite a driving factor for this going forward. Lisk right now, I believe, if we'll pop over to on-chain FX, Lisk might be at an all-time high right now. Let's see if it is. Yep, Lisk is at its all-time high right now. It's at $8.68. It is 2% off its all-time high, which is pretty incredible. So that's good to see. I am not invested in Lisk. It is up. It's been up, double-digit percentage points for the past 2 or 3 days. So that's been good on Lisk's end. But it depends on how I think difficult Solidity is from an Ethereum perspective. But right now, I think Ethereum has the upper hand because there are so many companies and people developing on it. But if Lisk can take the technology that's already in existence, the programming languages and the APIs that are already in existence, and combine that with a really usable platform, then that's something to definitely consider. But right now, all-time high or pretty damn close to its all-time high. So if you've invested in Lisk, congratulations. That's some pretty legit stuff. I'm not necessarily saying that Lisk itself, the company, doesn't have the talent, nor would I say that Cardano doesn't have the talent. I think that it's more, in some cases, some of these platforms that are meant to be developed on top of, it's the user community around them, which is interesting. And Ethereum has a really strong user community. Are there flaws with Ethereum? Yeah, absolutely. The parity wallet, granted that wasn't necessarily directly Ethereum, but that was closely related to Ethereum. But there are a lot of people, a lot of companies developing on top of Ethereum right now. There's a big community, and that kind of has a rolling network effect as well. So I think that's in Ethereum's favor right now. But I mean, you're also talking about a $30 billion market cap versus something that's less than, $1 billion or something of that nature as well. So somebody's asked about Bitcoins a bunch, so I'll just pop over. I don't know, to be pretty frank. I'm not. What we got? Haven't done a ton of research yet on Bitcoins, so I don't want to say anything definitively. It's at an all-time high now as well, I believe, or pretty damn close to. But yeah, I need to. Actually, I have done a little bit. There's so many cryptos that I'm forgetting. Bitcoins is interesting. Do I think this might be worth, $100 million? I don't know about that. Is one-click diversification a really interesting thing? Yes, if they can really pull this off. I haven't actually utilized the platform yet, but doing something like instantly diversifying crypto holdings for beginners, that's a big deal. Having a universal wallet that's really legit, that's a big deal as well. But Bitcoins could be an interesting tool in that mobile-first approach. I know a lot of cryptocurrencies now are taking that mobile-first approach that is really paying dividends because I think a lot of people like that type of methodology. But would I buy into it at all-time highs? I don't know yet, but I would like to see them do well. I think a service and a company like this is needed in the cryptocurrency space, especially for beginners. So I would like to personally see them do well. What is going on, everybody? What is going on? Taking a look. And I don't even know whatever you guys are saying. But yeah, taking a look at some of these questions. Tell us about Vertcoin. Vertcoin is fairly interesting. Vertcoin personally doesn't really appeal that much to me, if I'm being really honest. I get the utility of it. I get why people are interested in it. It's had a hell of a run in the past, since September. So, gone from less than being worth $2 million a year ago to being worth almost $200 million right now. But, when I'm looking at the overall product itself, it's kind of the same pitch that a lot of cryptocurrencies out there are using. Resisting centralization, so no ASICs. That's something that Bitcoin Gold has tried to do. That's something that Vertcoin's trying to do. That's something that Electroneum is trying to do. There are a lot of cryptocurrencies out there that are trying to avoid ASIC mining, which I think is fair because ASIC mining isn't necessarily the greatest thing in the world. But I don't know if there's enough value there to stand on its own as a truly great cryptocurrency. So just resisting centralization, I don't know if that's enough for me personally to be really interested in it. Now, I believe they have, they're part of the Lightning Network. I think they did a swap with Litecoin, which is great to see. They have SegWit activated. Don't allow ASIC mining, which is good. They have a one-click, or they're developing a one-click miner, which is something that also some other things like Electroneum are trying to do as well. So they have some interesting things in the pipeline. The atomic cross-chain swap that they did with Litecoin was cool. But it's not, for me personally, enough where I'm wow, this is something that I must invest in. But that's just me personally. That might be, you might feel something else. You might love it and think it's a great opportunity. Somebody mentioned, why is Bitcoin dipping? Is the bull run over? No, Bitcoin's up 10% on the day, was up 10%. Now it's up about 5%. So it's pulling back a little bit, but it's still only 7% down from its all-time highs. Crowfox, where'd I get the hoodie? This is from Banana Republic, I think. It's my favorite hoodie. I wear it in half my videos. It's the most comfortable thing on the planet. What am I drinking tonight? For any of you guys who joined late, I am drinking, I got the most random beer I could possibly find tonight. It's called Sweet Baby Jesus. It is a chocolate peanut butter porter, and it is, I can't put a finger on it if I hate it or if I like it, but yeah, it's chocolate peanut butter beer, which is, went a little bit crazy tonight. So some people or somebody asked thoughts on investing into BitConnect, and then somebody also got mad because I said that I was hating on people making money in BitConnect because they're making a living. You know, if you want to put your own money in BitConnect, that's great. Honestly, good for you. Whatever, do you? I think they pay out, but you know, companies like that paying 1% or around 1% off of their trading bot, that's not feasible. That's not realistic. That money is coming from somewhere, and it's not coming from trading bot profits. And I wouldn't support it. I wouldn't suggest doing it. But if if you want to do that, great. I'm just not a big fan of all the people on YouTube that that promote it and act like it's the best deal on the planet. I'm sure half of you guys saw an advertisement with some bro running around of Miami with his bajillion Bitcoin that was doing whatever 6 months ago before Bitcoin came out. Jesus does not approve of my drunkenness. I don't know if that's serious or not, but I'm gonna drink what I want to drink. Can't wait till BitConnect goes away so people can STFU about it. Once that goes away, something else is going to pop up. Something else is going to be there, and that's going to go in, and there's going to be first people to get in, and there's going to be desperate people behind it, and that's going to be that, and that's life in crypto. So I just think it's important to shoot it straight and not act like it's some magical pill, and especially the people that act like it's the retirement income and all that shit. If there's referral links associated with something, what do those referral links mean? Is it something you'd buy without referral links? And are they making more money off the referral links, and they're making more money than lending something off interest? They're making more money off the referral links. You're the product, not the investment. You're the product. And when you're the product, you're screwed. So that's the last thing I'll say on that as much as now. Yeah, people do like to get scammed. Water into wine, my man. Just going through these comments. I love all the booze. Why is Iota running up? So Iota is an interesting... where is Iota? Iota is interesting. It is... Even outside of cryptocurrency, I think Iota is pretty far ahead of its time. It is... I don't know how close it is. I think it's still a little bit down from its all-time highs. All-time highs were over $4 billion, I think, or over about $3 billion or so. The all-time highs were. Right now, it's going up. It's really spiking very hard in the past couple of days. I'll bring up the actual price chart here. What's the Iota symbol? IoT, there we go. So Iota's had a real nice run, and we'll take a look at how high it's up. In the past, from the bottom or so, in the past... It's up about 115% in the past 11 days. So if you've had money in Iota, if you bought that bottom, good on you. That is, that's fantastic. Iota itself is trying to be basically the cryptocurrency for the Internet of Things. So small transactions, basically between like your Tesla filling up gas, or filling up electricity at a pump, or your Samsung smart refrigerator sending cryptocurrency and sending information somewhere else. Iota is also tackling this problem, not necessarily with the blockchain, but what they call the Tangle, which is how they do distributed. It's not really a distributed ledger technology, or it's a type of distributed ledger technology, but it's unlike Bitcoin or unlike Ethereum. There have been some holes poked in Tangle before because it is very new technology, but if they can accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. I don't know if they will personally, but that doesn't mean it's a bad investment right now. It's a very ambitious project. That's kind of what I'll say about IOTA for the time being. So somebody mentioned, are there any ICOs you're invested in? Ones that are coming up, the two that are coming up are that I'm going to be investing in is Props by YouNow, because I'm advising in that. So Props by YouNow is one that I'll be investing in, and I'll actually be using Props as well. So I'm excited to use that. I think I'm going to, at least for the time being, to try to see if I can start to do crypto happy hours on Props once that comes out, or it's called the Rise platform. But I'm going to try to do some instead of YouTube lives, I'll do crypto happy hour on Props. And that way, when you guys have questions, I can actually bring your face up and you can ask questions live. So it'll be a little bit more interactive that way, which will be cool. So I'm going to try to do that, but I'll be participating in that ICO. Another one I'll be participating in is the Bloom ICO. I plan on participating in as well. I'm not an advisor for this or anything, but I interviewed Jesse, the CEO, 2 months or so ago. Really sharp dude, Peter Thiel fellow. They're tackling a really interesting problem, so I'm probably going to be looking at that as well. So those are the two that I'm looking at a little bit as far as investments go. Outside of that, not too much is really catching my eye right now. But if you guys have any thoughts as far as things to look at, then I'm definitely open to hearing about them as well. So how is Props decentralized? It's going to be, I would say it's kind of partly decentralized right now is the way in which it's being positioned. Some of the technology or some of the platform itself is being run in a centralized manner, actually like the hosting of the technology and things like that, because a lot of the decentralized solutions aren't there yet, but it's going to be open code that you can develop on top of, and developers, open source code that the Props platform itself is going to be something that you or I have no technical chops whatsoever. It took me 8 hours in my master's degree to program 3 bouncing balls on a line, because I'm an idiot when it comes to software engineering and programming. But with that being said, it's going to be an open platform that people can develop off of to create different variations or different kind of video applications as well. So pretty interesting, I think. Somebody mentioned Binance or Bittrex. I like both. Binance has more options, I would say. What do we got here? Binance has a lot more of the latest cryptocurrencies. If I pop over here, if we load up, I'm not signed in right now, but they have Bitcoin. They have Bitcoin Gold now. If you want to trade Bitcoin Gold, they have, from an Ethereum trading pairing, they have like AirSwap. They have a number of different cryptocurrencies. They have Engine Coin, which is nice. They have a number of different cryptocurrencies that are not Chainlink, Kyber Network, Manitha, if you're playing the drinking game. So, with that being said, Binance has some more options. Bittrex has always been kind of old reliable. So, somebody mentioned, do you get discounted transaction fees if you own Binance Coin? I believe so. Personally, I don't own any Binance Coin. I don't know if that's for me, that big of an incentive to own it. But I've had good experiences so far with Binance. I don't keep any money on exchanges really, though. So I get my money out to the exchanges. I make the trade. I get them off. I put them on my Ledger. I put them somewhere else. So typically don't keep my money on the exchanges long term. I think that's just a safe way, best practice to go about things. What do I think about cloud mining contracts? Have I looked into any? I personally, I've talked about it a little bit before, not today, but in previous YouTube lives. I think cloud mining is kind of a ripoff. if you want to mine, buy. I wouldn't buy ASICs because I feel like ASICs, there's a new ASIC that comes out every 6 months that makes the last ASIC obsolete, and then you're screwed. And you really can't sell it anywhere because it's like owning a car. The value goes down the second you drive it off the lot. So I wouldn't recommend ASIC mining if you're gonna buy something. But if you buy a GPU rig, there's a lot of crypto out there you can mine with a GPU. There's a lot of profitable crypto you can mine with a GPU, especially if you live somewhere with cheap energy. Cloud mining contracts typically take a long time to get even close to profitable. So I think that it's not the best idea to run cloud mining contracts. In a lot of cases, if you're going to do a cloud mining contract for Bitcoin or for whatever, for Ethereum or for Monero, just buy that cryptocurrency. Don't spend a bunch of money locking it up in some cloud mining contract where you're not even going to sniff profitability for 9 or 12 months or whatever it might be. Anderson, what's going on, man? Appreciate it. And guys, if you are new as well, so I try to answer as many questions as possible. There's a ton of you guys here. There's 300 people. But if you have something that you absolutely, if you absolutely must, have answered, or you really, really want to answer, throw it in the super chat, and I'll definitely get to it. If not, I try to get to as many as possible. And if you are new again to the channel too, hit the subscribe button and the little notify bell next to it. And that way, when I do go live, you'll get that notification, and you can be on from the beginning or from whenever you want to be on as well. So Anderson, new to investing in Bitcoin. I just want to buy one Bitcoin and hold on to it and let it grow. Is that okay to do? I will buy one Bitcoin with GDAX to save on fees. Yeah, you can buy one Bitcoin, and hopefully in a year, 2 years, that one Bitcoin is not worth $7,000 anymore. It's worth $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. So yeah, I mean, you're not going to turn that one Bitcoin and leave it there and turn it into 2 Bitcoins or something like that. But hopefully the value will increase for you. And buy and hold is something that, especially for newbies in the space, it's never a bad thing. And I think once you do that, once you buy your first Bitcoin, once you buy a portion of a Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency, you start watching the space more in depth and you start seeing what's going on. And it just gets you more and more interested, especially when crazy things happen, which it's crypto, so it's bound to happen. I don't know anything about Falcon Coin. Sorry, Tom. Somebody mentioned, how do I track your profit and losses? Blockfolio or Bitfolio sucks because you have to enter anything manually. I use bitcoin.tax. Somebody else mentioned coin info, I believe, or something like that. There's another one out there as well that somebody mentioned last night that I checked out. Looks good, but bitcoin.tax is what I use. It integrates with all the exchanges, and it just uploads like a CSV file, and then it'll calculate your profit and loss and all that good stuff. Do I think Bitcoin will go to $6,500 before it goes to 10K? I wouldn't doubt it. I would think that's more likely than not that it will go back down to $6,500 and won't go straight up to 10K. To that point, I'll show the Bitcoin chart a little bit, and we could talk about that. So here we go, Bitcoin to USD. I sold probably 20% of my Bitcoin at $290. Zach, thank you very much, my man. Appreciate that super chat very much. But I saw Bitcoin going up and having a little bit of resistance here at the $7,300 mark. So I sold about 20% of my Bitcoin holdings at 7,900, and then another 10% or so at like 7,200, or 7,290, and then 7,200. So I took a little bit off, expecting the price in some cases to go down. I still have the majority of crypto, the majority of my crypto in Bitcoin, but I felt like if there's a pullback here, it's a pretty aggressive move up, and there wasn't a lot of news driving it, so I wanted to go into it. Zach, Storm Token ICO. So I'm not too familiar with it. Let's see here. I'll pop it open. I believe these guys have a pretty big, if I'm not mistaken, they have a pretty big, they're big in gaming already, if I'm not nuts. So I participated with Engine Coin. That was kind of the one ICO I participated in. It hasn't done great since the ICO happened. The ICO market in general, unless there's a really strong use case, it's struggling a bit. So hopefully that'll turn around in the near future as people get more selective and put their money and hope behind better projects. But I need to do a little bit more research on Storm, quite frankly. I think gaming is definitely a big way to go about it, as well as the micro tasks as well. These are nice names to be in, but I need to do a little bit more research on Storm token to see if it is worth a consideration. So Patson mentioned, do I think there was another BCH Bitcoin Cash pump coming? I wouldn't doubt it. I would not doubt it. I still don't own any Bitcoin Cash. But yeah, I still don't own any Bitcoin Cash. Gabonk Bits, quit what FUD? Cobinhood, interesting idea. We'll see how they're able to execute. Chang Dean mentioned greetings from Asia. What is up in Asia? Any thoughts on Ethereum and its current struggle at 330? Right now it's sitting at 330. Tried to push 340 last night, and unsuccessfully broke out. It hasn't, we'll go up on the daily chart here, hasn't broken 340 and it hasn't broken 340 with really any conviction in a while. So I'm looking at Ethereum at this point in time. I moved a little bit more. I bought into Ethereum at around 310 or so. So that was one area where I bought a good amount into Ethereum at around the 310 range. And I'm happy with that. I think that we need to see Ethereum break through 340. If it does, there seems to be a fair amount of resistance at that point. If it can break through, I think it's going to have a really nice run. If it gets denied again, we might see it pop back down a little bit. But I think it's something to keep an eye on personally. I have a decent amount. Ethereum is my second largest holding outside of Bitcoin. So yeah, Frank mentioned Ethereum has a lot of problems. It's not scaling super well right now, has a lot of competition. I would agree with that. It's still, like I said, it's still my second largest holding. I think there's a reason for that, and I think a lot of that is due to the community behind it. So I'm a big fan of the overall community and the number of people that are working on the platform. There is a lot of competition, which I think is good in some nature because it forces Zach, what is up to Zach's mom? How is it going? So looking at this right now, Ethereum in general and what I kind of think about it. So I know there's a lot of competition. You have EOS, there's Lisk, there's a number of different platforms out there that Mark, yeah, so it might go up, it might go down. That's kind of everything in cryptocurrency. If I could actually look at this and figure out which exact way it's going, then I would be super happy, but nobody can. And if I'm going to give you a definitive answer one way or another, I better be damn sure that I know what the hell I'm talking about. But overall, there are a lot of cryptos that are going for kind of Ethereum's throat. They're trying to be the next Ethereum, or they're trying to be the Ethereum, to be better than Ethereum, to be the platform. Nobody's done it yet. And until somebody can prove that, and the same thing with Bitcoin, everybody is trying to do the same thing. And until somebody proves long-term that they can really do that, then I'm going to continue to have some of that money in the space there as well. Both Bitcoin and Ethereum have scaling issues. I don't think there's any doubt about it. But they have scaling issues because they're, some of the only cryptocurrencies that are actually being used to full capacity. So that's a reason that they have the scaling issues. At least in my mind, both Ethereum and Bitcoin are running into scaling issues because people are actually utilizing them. That's what it comes down to. So somebody mentioned thoughts on Steam. So I have a Steam profile. I do post to it every once in a while. Steam is, I don't know, I have the nighttime mode on here. If I can even turn that off or not. So Steam is interesting. I think they're doing these Steam smart media tokens that are going to be happening sooner rather than later. There's some things about it that are kind of weird, like somebody else mentioned that it's a different type of BitConnect. There's some things with like the wallet itself where, like, you know, if you buy Steam Power, it holds it for a while. The one thing that's kind of interesting to me is, like, you know, I'll engage on it a little bit. I have a number of, you know, follow me on there if you want. Always upvote me, because then it just makes me make more money, but I'm kidding. But with Steam, there's like people that so I'll go over here and I'll pop over to trending, or I'll pop over to the hot. And so let's see here. So this person, King's Crowned, this person's making $118 off this post, which sounds great. It's cool, whatever. You click down, 522 people have voted on this post. 522 people have voted on this post. Let's look down at how many people have actually looked at it. 108 people have looked at this. So people just kind of run around and like upvote stuff and downvote it and do whatever, and they don't actually read the content on here for the most part. So I found that to be fairly interesting. It seems mostly like a place where people are just trying to get their content out there just to make money, and they don't really care too much to interact with the platform itself. But that's just my observation right now. And even then, too, it's kind of funny because it's a decentralized platform. But if I scroll down here, I had one post where I talked about, Bitcoin Gold, where I said I thought Bitcoin Gold was going to be a shitcoin, basically, which it is. And right now, the value is like nothing. So I talked about why I thought Bitcoin Gold was stupid, and I got a bunch of downvotes, and then they didn't show my post on Steemit. So much for being decentralized when you get like 2 downvotes and then your content just goes away. Isn't that kind of against the whole point of being decentralized and being the open platform for freedom? You know, there's a lot of people that sell it as that, but those people are also heavily invested in Steem. I've talked to, y'all know Coin Mastery. I've talked to Carter on Twitter a few times. I listen to his podcast every once in a while. I like the way he approaches things. Seems like a good dude to me. Is Coinigy the best site for the charts? Depends on how advanced you want to be and what you want to do. I like Coinigy #1 for this because I can go through a number of different exchanges and basically have access to every cryptocurrency. So I like it for the crypto happy hours for sure. But I also like how some of the trades are integrated with it, so I can see where I bought and sold some of my crypto as well, which is helpful. So taking a look at some of these questions here. I realize people don't like when you talk bad about a coin. Yeah, people tend to not like when you talk bad about anything that they're invested in, especially when you bring up valid points. And I've talked about that before. Coinigy is a free trial, but it costs, I think, about $20 a month. So unless you have a good amount of crypto in, unless you own a decent amount of crypto and you really like looking at the charts and doing everything like that, then I wouldn't put my money in it. But if you have 5-10 grand, if you really like looking at the charts, if you like setting alerts, Coinigy is awesome. What's up, Evelyn? So do you buy all your crypto with your day job, or is crypto your day job? I have a day job, and then I spend some of my money that I earn on my day job on crypto. And any money I make from like advertising on the YouTube channel, like the Google ads, all my homies that pay me so handsomely for all my homies that love to put BitConnect ads on my YouTube channel, which unfortunately I can't stop them from doing so. But all my homies that do that, then I take all that money and basically put that into Bitcoin or put that elsewhere in crypto, which, #1, hopefully will be a retirement fund for me one day. #2, it's great because then I have some money in the game, or more money in the game, and kind of helps me learn with you guys as well. I've heard good things about TradingView as well. So, David, hey, what is up, my dude? Litecoin is the future. I think it's way faster than Bitcoin. I think Litecoin as a use case, is it the future? I don't know about it being the future of the future of cryptocurrency, but I think Litecoin is a legitimate use case. I think it's good that Charlie Lee is kind of in some cases the face of Litecoin. I think that helps from like a marketing perspective. Why should we pay taxes if we are trying to get away from being taxed on our money? Because you don't want to go to jail. Angel, I don't know about you, but I'm too cute to be in jail, so Robbie's paying his taxes. When did I buy my first crypto? In 2013. First crypto I ever bought was Bitcoin, then it was Dogecoin. So I opened up a Coinbase account in like 2013, bought some Bitcoin, bought some Dogecoin, mined some Dogecoin. I loved Dogecoin back in the day. I don't know if anybody was back around then, like back when Dogecoin started, but Dogecoin was like literally the most fun thing on the planet. Like before scammers got into Dogecoin, it was so awesome. It was like the coolest community. The subreddit had like 80,000 people. They sponsored the Jamaican bobsled team. They bought a Dogecoin logo on a NASCAR car. It was the most incredible time ever. It was so much fun. I loved Dogecoin. It made me super interested in cryptocurrency. And yeah. Brad, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that super chat, my man. So CME Futures, it's the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and essentially what it is it's a way for institutional investors and traders to start trading Bitcoin without having to own start trading Bitcoin without having to own Bitcoin or actually physically own the coin. So it's going to be futures that are tied to the value of the cryptocurrency, and it's going to allow people to both go long and short Bitcoin. So it's a really big deal that it's going to allow institutional money to potentially gain exposure to the space without having to own Bitcoin. Dude, why aren't you rich if you started in 2013? Because I wasn't rich in 2013, so I didn't have that much money to put into it. And yeah, it's what it is. When you're in your first job and out of college, then you're not making shit, or you don't have that much money to buy Coors Light, let alone to put it all in Dogecoin, unfortunately. Or Bitcoin or anything. You should have Jackson Palmer on. I talked to Jackson quite a bit on Twitter. He's awesome dude. Super critical of the right things in cryptocurrency as well, and he's super honest with people, where a lot of people gloss over and fall to hype and scams and craps. He's not afraid to call people out, which I like. Somebody mentioned my favorite small capped altcoin. So my favorite, I would say right now, my favorite small cap altcoin is Chainlink, personally. That is Chainlink. It's down quite a bit. It hasn't, it's down like 60% since its all-time highs, so that sucks. But Chainlink itself is, I think, a really interesting cryptocurrency. Yeah, I lost it all on Manetha. I didn't lose much money on Manetha. I lost my dignity on Manetha. I'll tell you that much. But favorite small cap altcoin, at least from a usability perspective, or not necessarily usability perspective, from a use case perspective, I think Chainlink is really interesting, personally. Connor, I can definitely try and do a little bit more information on another video as another video as far as the CME futures go. Will that just inflate crypto as a whole? So I believe as of the time being, the CME futures, the way it's going to work is it's solely going to be Bitcoin. So there's not going to be exposure to Ethereum or the altcoins. And there's going to be basically a Bitcoin daily reference rate as well as a real-time index that allows for price action on that. And they're going to basically take information from Bitstamp, GDAX, Kraken, those guys. And that's going to be how the trading is based off of. Will it inflate all of crypto? I don't think necessarily, because I believe there's also going to be the possibility of short selling as well. So, nose is so itchy right now. But I think there's going to be the possibility of short selling as well. So it could potentially compress if there's enough people out there that are selling it short. But we shall see. My day job is software sales. So nothing in regards to trading or finance. I work in Manhattan, so I know a lot of people that work in the financial industry, but I don't have any involvement with trading at this point in time. Do I have faith in any of the weed coins? No, I don't. That's just me. But I think there's a lot more interesting use cases out there than the weed coins. So somebody mentioned, how would you invest $10K if you only had that to start with? I would put a good majority of that in Bitcoin, and then I would put number one, I would dollar cost average it. I think especially with kind of Bitcoin being pretty close to its all-time highs, I would put, if I had $10,000 to invest, I would buy maybe $1,000 of Bitcoin a week, and maybe one altcoin, whether it's Ethereum, whether it's Litecoin, whether it's Ethereum, whether it's Litecoin, whether it's something else. I would do some evaluation, buy another altcoin outside of Bitcoin, but I would dollar cost average that a little bit, so that if you buy $10,000 and Bitcoin goes down from $7,000 right now to $5,600 overnight again, then you are a little bit less exposed to the overall market movement there as well. The difference between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. So, number one, Bitcoin Cash is a fork of Bitcoin Core. So it was created off the Bitcoin Core, blockchain. The big difference right now between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash is kind of a fundamental approach, as well as, number one, there's a lot of infighting, there's a lot of debate there. So it's a very contentious argument. But basically, the big difference is Bitcoin has one MB blocks, and also has something called segregated witness, or SegWit, that is enabled on the Bitcoin network. Not everybody is utilizing it, but it allows for larger blocks to be mined. Bitcoin Cash has 8 times larger block sizes than Bitcoin does, but the big difference with that is that right now, because of the popularity of Bitcoin, the blocks are being filled up on a 10-minute basis with transactions, or they're getting close to being filled up. So people have to pay higher transaction fees to prioritize how the miners can process those transactions. So the transaction fees have gone up quite a bit with Bitcoin, also in somewhat of relation to the price of Bitcoin as a whole, but the transaction fees have gone up. Bitcoin Cash is saying that we have larger block sizes, so we're not running into that issue. Miners are able to process transactions at low fees because XYZ, and it's a fundamental difference between like big blockers and people that think that Bitcoin should stay at its current block size and use level 2 scaling solutions like something like Lightning Network or Segregated Witness, SegWit, to scale in a more effective manner. So that's some of, at kind of a high level, the big difference there. But it is a very contentious argument. There are a number of different people that were initially big Bitcoin backers or Bitcoin Core backers Roger Ver was a big Bitcoin backer for a long time. Gavin Andreessen was like the first Bitcoin developer, one of the first Bitcoin developers outside of Satoshi Nakamoto and Hal Finney, and a couple other guys. So Gavin Andreessen was one of the first big time Bitcoin developers. Craig Wright. So a lot of people that started off in Bitcoin that are now like Bitcoin Cash guys, and it's more centralized. That's one of the big debates as far as it's going to be the size of the Bitcoin Cash nodes. When something has bigger blocks, it basically means that it takes more data to store on a computer. So if you go over to bitcoin.org, just real quick, if you go over to bitcoin.org, if you click on the support, this is Bitcoin Core, but running a full node. So, and this is with regular block sizes, the 1 megabyte block sizes, where, let's see here, to run a full node right now, you need 145 gigs of free disk space, 2 gigs of RAM, basically, unmetered internet connection at all times, and you need to be running your Bitcoin node 6 hours a day. So you can't do it on a laptop, most likely. It takes a lot of computing power to run a node. So imagine that with Bitcoin Cash, you need basically, not necessarily, but the equivalent to maybe 8 times as much, 8 times as much memory, and it makes it more difficult for people to run a full node. So then it's more centralized because people aren't running nodes. So somebody's mentioning Bitcoin Cash right now. We'll pull it up on Bitfinex. We'll take a look US dollar wise. It's falling a bit. So that, I still maintain that Bitcoin Cash pump. Bitcoin Cash dropping a little bit. A little bit of a sell here. And again, I don't own any Bitcoin Cash personally. I get the utility behind it. I get why people want to own it. But I think it acts as potentially a good hedge to Bitcoin right now because people are essentially betting if one cryptocurrency succeeds or the other. So people are saying, I think either Bitcoin's going to succeed or I think Bitcoin Cash is going to succeed. So if you own both, one of them is probably going to succeed and you'll make money off of one or you'll make money off the other. Guys, give me 1 second. I'm going to get one more beer. I'm going to run and run to the fridge. I do not have a refrigerator at my desk. So, shit. And I'm back. It's a tight squeeze with this green screen. So looking at, let's see here. Thoughts on Square running tests on crypto's payment. This was an interesting thing today. A lot of people were talking about it. So let's see, Square, top stories. On CNBC, Jim Cramer, 11 hours ago. TechCrunch, CNBC, all over the place. So I'll pop over to TechCrunch because if I go to CNBC, it's definitely going to autoplay something and you guys are going to get your earphones blasted out to all hell. Randy, thank you very much. I will answer that question on Stellar Lumens in a second here. So Randy, let's see here. Actually, I'll answer that again in a second. I'm confused. But Square Cash, this is interesting. I don't know if I don't know how big of a deal it's going to be personally, but the more opportunities for real-time adoption, the better. And I think that it could be a nice addition. Do I think it's going to make or break Bitcoin or cryptocurrency? No, I don't. But the fact that a $15 billion publicly traded company is experimenting with crypto is a big deal. I mean, Square is 15 times the size of Overstock.com. It is actually involved in the payment space. It's responsible for a large majority or a good amount of payments and transactions that occur. It's growing quickly, so this could be a really nice thing. Virtual cheers. Thank you very much, Rum and Coke from Canada. What is going on? All right, here. So let's pop over to answer your question there, Randy. Stellar Lumens, for sure. So I don't know what exactly let's see here. What exactly the Asian news was, if there's anything in particular there. I know IBM spiked the price of Stellar Lumens quite a bit recently. Let's see if there's anything. If there is any new news on Stellar Lumens, definitely let me know. It's had a really nice run as of late. Obviously, we can see here that from a price standpoint, it's had a good run. But at least in the past month and a half, it's cooled off back in June, July. But Stellar Lumens is back nicely. So especially with that IBM partnership, I think that's going to be pretty big deal. So Jason mentioned, can I give any insight on Disney's blockchain called Dragon Chain? I don't think that's directly, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't done a ton of research, but I think that's ex-Disney people. I don't know if that has anything to do with Disney itself. I saw a couple people pitching that ICO on Twitter, but I don't think they sold out. Yeah, I need to do a little bit more research. I saw some people posting about it with referral links and all that good stuff, but I did not participate in the ICO. I haven't done a ton of research on it really at this point. Yeah, so somebody mentioned, Panhandle mentioned Square stock jumped. I talked about this a little bit on the recorded video today, but Square was up at one point about 5% on the news. I think it finished the day up about 2.5%, but it jumped pretty nicely when they announced. You could see here it went up to almost $42. Jumped nicely on the news that they were going to be experimenting with Bitcoin. If you go to Overstock.com, on news of their ICO and on news of them getting more involved in cryptocurrency over the past year, Overstock stock has just crushed it. I mean, you've tripled your money in Overstock, which is pretty crazy. So impressive. I don't know too much about their ICO itself, T0. I think they're raising a ridiculous amount of money if I'm not nuts. So think we can see Stellar Lumens catch up to Ripple's anytime soon. It's possible. It's definitely possible if they come out with more partnerships and if they start. I think the thing with Ripple the thing with Stellar Lumens is they're kind of predicated. They're built off actually having legitimate partnerships with companies. So they need to prove that they have that on a consistent basis, and I think they should be profitable companies as well. Jamie the Demon, I am not holding any Bitcoin Cash. I'm not opposed to holding any Bitcoin Cash, but I presently don't have any right now. Do I know anything about Consensus? I do know a little bit about Consensus. They're based in Brooklyn. They're kind of all over the place. They're hiring like crazy. I mean, they're mostly supporting the ETH ecosystem or the Ethereum ecosystem, but know a little bit about Consensus and pretty interesting organization as a whole. So taking a look at some more of these questions as well. Yeah, same as the Mt. Gox founder. Yeah, I forget his name off the top of my head, but not Karpelis, who, I don't know if you guys have seen this. This is the craziest thing. I mean, Mark Karpelis. This is the craziest thing on the freaking world. So, Mark Karpelis lost, I forget how much money it was. At the time, he lost, I don't know how much money worth of, I think it was $400 million worth of Bitcoin at the time for his customers. He lost $400 million worth of Bitcoin at the time. And then it turns out that they found some of that Bitcoin back. So they found some of that Bitcoin back. However, when there was a bankruptcy proceeding and all these people were creditors and claimed money, claimed Bitcoin. Yep, Jed McCaleb is the right name. But all these people claimed, hey, Mt. Gox lost our Bitcoin. We want to get a refund. The bankruptcy court or the claims or however it worked, they ended up claiming their Bitcoin at the value of the yen. Since Mt. Gox was headquartered in Japan, they ended up claiming at the value in yen. So they claimed it at $400-something, the $400-something equivalent in yen. Obviously now Bitcoin is not worth $400. It's worth $7,000. So Mark Karpelis, who lost $400 million worth of Bitcoin at the time, ended up finding a bunch of it back, but now only owes that $400 million. So that $400 million is now worth like 1.5, like over $1 billion. So he might be a billionaire. After basically bankrupting his company, he might be accidentally be a billionaire, which is the craziest thing on the planet. And there's a funny picture going around right now. Where he lost a bunch of weight. Looks great. I don't even know where it is now. But, yeah. It's a picture of Mark Karpelis, and it says Bitcoin $400, and then it's a picture of Mark Karpelis down like 1,000 pounds and like in a really nice suit, and it's like Bitcoin $7,000, and it's hilarious. He lost the Bitcoin. There is a trading bot. $400 million would buy a lot of Lambos, but $1 billion buys even more. I have never been to Austin, Texas. I do want to go. Though. I heard you guys have great barbecue and great Mexican food, both of which are my favorite foods. Marco, what is up, my man? Green Bastard, how is it going? Yes, I have heard of Storage. I think you might have joined a little bit late. I did talk about Storage previously. It's having a hell of a run today. Great to see. Let's see if it's up here. Storage is having a really nice run. It's up like 30-something% on the day. I'm so done with these BitConnect ads on my phone. Aren't we all, brother? Aren't we all? This is my BitConnect wallet. This is my $10,010 loan. I am now rich. But I'm rich because I referred you. Joe, there's only one way to find out, man. Ask my wife. Please take a look at Qtum. So I will pop over, take a look at Qtum. up nicely on the day, up 10%, up 4% on Bitcoin. So having a nice little bit of a day. Not necessarily at its all-time highs, but not fairly close to, but recovered nicely from some of the lows. Qtum is an interesting one. They were not necessarily trading in full pairing to Neo, but when a lot of the China cryptocurrency ban stuff went down, Qtum took a hit for sure. So Qtum has been something that I've been interested in. I haven't necessarily done a ton of research into the actual tech behind it. They have some good blockers. They have some good backers as well. So Connor mentioned, how do I make money on Bitcoin if I am just holding it, trying to hold it for the long term? Maybe I'm doing it wrong. So if you are trying to make money on Bitcoin and you're trying to hold it long term, you're just hoping that the price increases. So right now, it's pretty simple. You're buying it at a certain price and you're hoping that price rises, and maybe one day you're going to sell that. So let's say you think Bitcoin is one day going to be worth $25,000. You buy one Bitcoin at $7,000. 5 years from now, it's worth $25,000. You sell that Bitcoin at $25,000. That's how you made money. You could trade cryptocurrency. You could do all that type of stuff on a more active basis. But if you're just buying and holding, you're basically betting that the price is going to increase, much like a stock or anything else on the planet. So do I agree with people who are saying the super high fees are not decreasing are making Bitcoin unusable as a currency and more of a new gold? I don't disagree with those people. I think that, having experienced Bitcoin back in 2013, 2014, when the fees were, you could send thousands of dollars of Bitcoin for like no money whatsoever. It sucks when you have to, pay $10 for a transaction fee to send $1,000 worth of cryptocurrency or $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. So that sucks to see. Is it unusable? No. Is it making it more of a store of, a digital gold in some cases? But Bitcoin, I think, has always been speculative anyway. People have done transactions on the Bitcoin network, and there have been a lot of transactions on the Bitcoin network, but really, there's been solutions for people to buy stuff with Bitcoin and to go and buy this and that with Bitcoin. But for the most part, nobody's going out and buying coffee. They're not going to Starbucks and spending $5 on a coffee on Bitcoin. So it's debatable. But the high fees do suck. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I think that the scaling solutions that are being put in place are hopefully going to help deal with that. I do think, as much as, so I am not a big, I don't like the infighting between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash people. I think it's kind of annoying. It sucks, but it is what it is. They don't like each other for the most part. The one thing right now, I'm a little bit maybe more. I'm invested in Bitcoin. I'm not invested in Bitcoin Cash. The one nice thing I think about Bitcoin Cash, though, and kind of the infighting now, is that hopefully Bitcoin now kind of has to get their crap together, because there's another cryptocurrency out there that has its name, that's going for its throat, that wants to be the number one cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin kind of has to innovate. And maybe there wasn't anybody forcing a rush previously to innovate and move things faster. Now there's a little bit more of a, lighting a fire under Bitcoin's butt a little bit, maybe more than previously so. Somebody mentioned, what is my view on Electroneum? Personally, I think Electroneum has done a big disservice to anybody who participated in the ICO. I think that they're great marketers. I don't think they're great tech people, and people will argue with me on that. But they got 300,000 people to register for their ICO, which is fantastic. Good marketing, good job on that point. But I don't think there's anything unique about their cryptocurrency. I don't think there's anything unique at all about what they're trying to do. And I think a lot of inexperienced people bought into the ICO because they were inexperienced and bought into this vision of Electroneum, and it's just a forked Monero. That's me. But people will definitely get mad when I say that because there's probably a bunch of people on here that bought into that ICO. But if I didn't buy into the ICO, but if I did, I'd be freaking pissed off that they're letting people mine that cryptocurrency and you don't have the opportunity to buy or sell or do whatever you want to do. That's I think, inappropriate on Electroneum's end. What site do I use to buy Litecoin? I use Bittrex, Binance, or EtherDelta typically. And Michael said SegWit fees are less expensive for Bitcoin. Yeah, they are. So I use the SegWit wallet feature on my Ledger. So I use that. I transact with SegWit, which is nice. You and David Hay should start a podcast. David Hay was actually on here earlier, and I've talked to David on email a few times, and might actually be joining him in Vegas for a conference. I mentioned that last night, but might be joining him in Vegas. He's speaking at a conference, and I got invited to speak there as well. So I might be going out for that and having a chance to have my own keynote, which would be pretty crazy. Hopefully I don't say and ah as much as I do in this. I just said again. But hopefully I can actually speak English if I do a keynote and come up with a really good topic for everybody. But I might be going out there and might have an opportunity to meet David in person, which would be pretty cool. I talked about why I don't like Electroneum, and I just got downvoted. You know, the thing is, and I'll say it about anything on the planet. If you say anything bad about a cryptocurrency that a lot of people are invested in, they're going to be mad and they're going to come up with reasons why that is not true. So, you know, if I say something negative about Electroneum, people that invest in Electroneum are going to get mad and yell at me and say that it's not true. If I say something bad about Bitcoin, people that are heavily invested in Bitcoin are going to get mad at me and say it's not true. If I say something bad about Ethereum, it's the same thing every single time. The one thing I'll say to that is no matter what money you have, no matter where that money is invested, always try to, if somebody is not just saying like, that's a crap coin, it's BS, it's whatever. If somebody is giving thoughtful, realistic criticism, then I think you should listen to it and consider it. If somebody is just yelling and saying whatever, then, then it is... then take that into, then just kind of shrug that off. But if it's thoughtful, if it's legitimate criticism, listen to it. It's not just because you're invested in it doesn't mean everything that is a criticism is FUD. Like, nothing pisses me off more than when I say something somewhat negative, or like not necessarily negative, but when I criticize something and then some jackass comes in and it's like, oh, stop FUDing. And I'm like, actually, I'm not FUDing. I'm saying that there is an issue here, and just because you own this cryptocurrency, I am trying to either enlighten you to that or also enlighten other people that are considering putting their hard-earned money into something that may or may not be total crap. So that's my overall thought process. So, going through some of these. Have I done work with Chris Dunn? No, I haven't. I haven't had a chance to speak with him at all. I've seen his YouTube channel. Seems like a decent guy. Seems like a nice person, but I haven't had a chance to speak with him or really interact with him at all. What is it called? It is the NA North American Crypto Conference. So I'll have... I think it's the North American. Here we go. Here's the one that I might be going to. I'm still confirming it a little bit last minute right now. I'll link to it here. But I think the tickets, so the tickets are pretty cheap. I'll have a discount code as well if I do end up going there. But whereas, yeah, David Hayes speaking there. There's a couple other people as well. But I will... If I do end up speaking, I'll probably be deciding in the next 24 hours or so if I can make it out or not. But if I do end up speaking, I'll talk about it in the next video and just throw a link up there so that you guys get that discount code. But If you guys want to go to Vegas, that's cool. I still need to decide whether or not I can go to Vegas at this point in time. If I could take that day, it's a Saturday, but if I could fly out on a Friday night and do that, so that's something I'm considering right now to see if it's worth the time for me. But I think it'd be a pretty cool opportunity. Personally, it's the first time anybody's ever asked me to speak at a live event. I've never delivered a keynote, so I'm actually even nervous thinking about delivering a keynote, even though there's 300 people on this YouTube live right now. There's somewhat of a difference between speaking to a Logitech webcam and this stupid microphone and speaking to 300 people in person. So I'm trying to figure out if I would actually add any value to you guys at all. Thanks, Christian. Appreciate that, my man. Janet Yellen, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. You have a Federal Reserve Bank to run. Do I fear that ETH will not scale and end up like Bitcoin? I mean, if ETH ends up like Bitcoin, it just means that's going to be super valuable. So it depends on like both. So right now is like the value or is the utility of Bitcoin lower than maybe it was in the past because of the transaction fees? Yeah, probably. Is the value of Bitcoin higher than it's ever been? Maybe inversely correlated to the actual utility of it. Yeah. But, I mean, right now I'm kind of investing in this to make money. I'm also really, really interested in how Bitcoin can do overall, but and how it can potentially scale successfully. But at this point in time, I'm primarily looking at opportunities here regarding making money. So even though Bitcoin has had trouble scaling and the transaction fees are high, I mean, Bitcoin's basically as high as it's ever been. We're pretty damn close to the all-time highs. I think we are, Bitcoin-wise, we're 7% off the all-time highs. That happened 7 days ago. Not that much to sneeze at. Do I drink my beers faster if I want to cut the video short? Yeah, sometimes. Josh McCown wouldn't do that to me. Josh would not do that with me. Maybe if he hits him in the head with a football. So Robin mentioned, what do I enjoy doing more, live video chats or daily recorded crypto videos? I personally like coming in here and talking to you guys. I mean, it's a little bit more fun. It's actually a little bit faster to do. I mean, I take longer. Like we're going on an hour and 20 minutes right now of this live video, but I enjoy this more. I think it's fun to interact with you guys rather than just talking to a screen. The one thing, just from an overall YouTube perspective, YouTube, the actual recorded videos tend to get a lot more views and have like a more long tail effect. So I personally get more benefit out of, from like a channel growth perspective. The recorded videos get more views and help to spread the channel further, but the crypto live happy hours are more fun and more entertaining, and I think it's cool to build a relationship with you guys, because I think that, no matter how big the channel gets, if I don't have like personal relationships with you guys, and if I don't get the chance to like recognize, all your names in person and like, see Coiny McCoinface and Janet Yellen and Evelyn and I'm looking at all of these names that I see here all the damn time. My guy Gravy Train, and David Hay when he pops in here, and Christian Fout, and a lot of you guys that I see here on a Jamie the Demon, who is always up in here. A lot of you guys that are here on a consistent basis, which is, number one, fantastic, and thank you if it's your first time watching or if it's your last damn time watching. That I think that's awesome. Now DTube doesn't pay crap. So, I mean, just for context too, I mean, I might make from a YouTube perspective, I don't make a lot of money on YouTube. Like I said, I have a full-time job. I do this. This is more of a hobby is a fun thing. This is a passion project for me. But YouTube pays me a lot better than DTube does. I put a couple of videos on DTube, and I think I've made like less than 10 cents. I might make 50 or $100 on a recorded video. So. So when somebody says an ICO is airdropping, what that basically means is they're sending ETH directly to, or they're sending tokens directly to an address. Sometimes there are specifications around that. It might be to, it might be there was an OMG air swap where they sent, or I think there was an OMG air swap where they sent like OMG to certain Ethereum addresses. Basically, it just means that a company is sending tokens to Ethereum addresses or ERC20 addresses for either for free or for some reason or another. Thanks for joining and binge watching. Appreciate it. It's my favorite way to take in any content. Do I teach people via a class at all? Not presently, no. I don't have any type of classes or anything that I charge for at all. So I just trying to build an audience and trying to build as much relationship with it as I can in the space and learn as much as I can, learn from you guys as much as possible. Have I ever used a VPN for an exchange? I have used VPNs for exchanges, but a lot of times it's just if it's something like where they ban U.S. citizens or something like that. Why is OMG diving so hard? Well, when it does, it hurts me. I wouldn't say it's diving super hard. It hasn't really recovered incredibly well. But I don't think it's diving necessarily hard. It hasn't outpaced Bitcoin in the past couple days, but I still have a decent amount of money in OMG. If it drops below $6, I'm probably going to get rid of it because I bought it at $1, so I think I'll lock in that profit now. But I think where OMG's been in the past, it was up to $12, $13 at one point. I think now I'm still comfortable holding with it at this point in time. Yeah, I don't mind it as a hobby. I work in software sales, so that's kind of what I do on a day-to-day job. I use TunnelBear as the VPN I use. I think it's like $5 or $10, $5 or $10 a month. I like it. It's good on PC, good on iOS. I think you could start free, and then I think I pay for the $10 a month one because it's unlimited data. So. Actually, no. I pay monthly. I don't pay yearly. Screw yearly. Whatever. Somebody mentioned thoughts on the altcoins. So I know a lot. The popular thing on YouTube is to always say like, "Oh, the alts are coming back. The alts are coming back," because everybody likes to put money in altcoins. But I don't know. If it's tough for me to say one way or another, quite frankly, if the altcoins are really coming back or if they're not. I think there might be potentially maybe we're going to see more of a concerted pullback in the future here, maybe a little bit more sustained. I mean, Bitcoin obviously had that pullback all the way down to 5,500 or so, but it recovered incredibly quickly, really strong, basically back to where it was exactly before. Could we see another sell-off? Yeah, potentially. I'm keeping an eye on things for sure. Sell POS software. What up? ERP software. DTube it's built off Steemit, so here's Steemit, my Steemit profile again. But DTube it's like an application built off Steemit. It's supposed to be like a decentralized YouTube is basically what it is. It's like an uglier version of it's like an uglier version of YouTube. Is how I would consider it. But it's decentralized. So that's kind of something that, to be honest, I laugh about. There's a couple people out there that always say, like, I think everything in the world should be decentralized. Decentralize this, decentralize that. Not everything on the planet needs to be decentralized. Right now, the usability of YouTube is way better than that of DTube, in my opinion. Are there some negative things about YouTube? Yeah. Would I love to ban BitConnect ads on my YouTube? Yeah. Does YouTube sometime not let me monetize videos because I say one curse word in them and their algorithm picks it up? Yeah. But would I still rather use YouTube 10 times out of 10 over DTube? Yeah. And would you guys? Yeah. So, I don't think everything on the planet needs to be decentralized yet. I think there are some, there's still some benefits, or there's a lot of benefits to centralization. So yeah, we'll end up seeing how that goes. Somebody asked, what did I use to create my website? It's just a WordPress website, nothing crazy. Crypto gnome. Amazon Bitcoin announcement. No, that's BS. Somebody pumped that. James Altucher pumped that a while ago. Let's see if it's in the news. I don't think there's any reason for Amazon, as of the time being right now, to start accepting Bitcoin. I really don't think there's any specific reason at all. I talked about this back in the day, but this was something that somebody put out there a while ago to kind of pump a subscription paid newsletter that they have, talking about how Amazon's going to accept Bitcoin and the price of Bitcoin is going to go up and all that stuff. So I don't agree that, maybe one day Amazon's going to accept Bitcoin, and that would be great, and that would obviously increase the price of Bitcoin, but I don't agree with the people that are pumping that as like some reason to own Bitcoin or a reason why the Bitcoin price is going to go up, because I don't think that might happen. You guys, if you are new to the channel by any chance, hit the subscribe button and the notify bell, and that way when I do go live next time, you get notified as soon as I do, so you'll have that opportunity. And then one other thing too, let's see if I have it. So not sure if anybody's going to be in, based in New York on Friday, but I'll throw this link in too. They're doing a meetup. I'll be at this meetup on Friday. It's like a meetup happy hour. So you could throw that. You could throw that in there if you'd like to. If you'd like to join. Not sure, but I'll probably be attending that on Friday evening in Manhattan. So it should be a good time. I went to another happy hour that was hosted by Coin Fund last time, which is a VC firm, VC hedge fund in the crypto space. Patrick, hope you're enjoying that. Cheers from Charleston. Have never been to Charleston, been to Hilton Head. Loved Hilton Head. I've heard fantastic things about Charleston, but yeah. Best place to buy Bitcoin, I use GDAX is kind of my go-to to buy. GDAX/Coinbase is my go-to place, but I've heard good things about Gemini as well. I'm in the U.S. though, so I think it's different internationally as well. Some people would say obnoxiousness. Some people would say candor. So I appreciate you saying candor there. Mark G hit the absolute nail on the head there as well. Said what you're saying about D2 applies to ONG Social and the rest. Great to say you're going to be the next Facebook, but you actually have to become the next Facebook. You can't just say because you are blockchain based, or you can't just do that because you're blockchain based. I completely completely agree with that sentiment. There are a lot of ICOs out there right now. There are a lot of companies out there that are like, oh, we're the next YouTube, we're the next Facebook, we're the next Twitter, we're the next whatever. But we're on the blockchain and we're decentralized and blah, 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 buzzword, buzzword, buzzword. But the user experience is crap. There's nobody on the platform and it's, not good. Does Facebook own all your data? Does Facebook monetize the living hell out of you? Absolutely. But are all of 99.9% of your friends on Facebook? If you want to go on Facebook and stalk your ex-girlfriend from 75 years ago or whatever, yeah, that's there. So can you do that on some blockchain space where it's just you and a bunch of other crypto nerds like myself that are just on this blockchain thing because we like to make some tokens or whatever? So, I think that you need to have you need to be better. You not only need to be equivalent in terms of the usability for these blockchain startups, you need to be better than what is already in place right now, because the majority of people, the vast majority of people don't care about your token. They don't care about blockchain. They don't care about decentralization. They care about, does this look good? Does it work well? And are my friends using it, or whatever. So that's something that I think is is really important as you kind of look at some of these things in the future as well. Magley, I'm not sure what you mean by a Crypto Bobby channel theme, but always down for community assistance. If you're a designer, web developer, whatever, the person who made the little Crypto Bobby sign below, that's somewhere down here, that was somebody that looked at the channel. I forget if you're watching this right now, but I forget your name. But somebody sent me an email. Was like, hey, I'll design this for you. I was like, hey, thank you, awesome. So if you are a designer, if you help out, if you do videos, whatever, and you want to help me out with something, I'm all ears. And you can definitely happy to do that. Taking a look here. Somebody mentioned, do I think that big money is coming into the space next year? Yes, I do. I think within the next 6 to 12 months, you're going to see big institutional money getting into the space. The big thing is the big thing that I've talked about a little bit, or the big thing that I've talked about recently is more on the side of the controls and the proper kind of regulations in place and the actual custodial services. So if you're not kind of familiar with what custodial services is, here's somewhat of a decent explanation, but so custodian banker, custodial services, it's a financial institution that's responsible for safeguarding a firm's financial assets, not engaged in traditional consumer banking, blah, blah, blah. So right now, for the most part, there really aren't firms out there right now that are able to safeguard a firm's Bitcoin. So there aren't really custodians in place right now. When those are developed, when the proper things are put in place to have a custodian in place, to have legitimate services for, if Goldman Sachs wants to go out and buy 10,000 Bitcoin and they want to place a huge bet on Bitcoin to go up, it's difficult for them right now, or there's probably a lack of custodian services to do that right now. The CME futures is going to help with that some bit, but it's also not buying the direct asset, it's buying those futures. But that's something that I think, as these continue to develop and as these continue to improve, you're going to see more and more money getting into the space. Because when you look at it, let's search this. People pay hedge funds 2%. People pay hedge funds 2% fees and 20% profit. Hedge funds are absolutely, positively desperate and would kill basically anybody and their parents for a return. The index that posted Average hedge fund returns hit a 3-year high. What's that 3-year high? 7.4%. 7.4% is what people are paying a 2% fee plus 20% of those returns. So 7.4%. Let's look at Bitcoin in the past year. Bitcoin in the past year returned how much? 857%. So would you rather get 7%? Would you rather get 857%? Even if you're not obviously as a hedge fund going to put all of your money into Bitcoin, because you'd be probably pretty nuts to do so in case Bitcoin goes way down. It's kind of hard to say, hey, I don't want any exposure to something that went up 857% and can potentially continue to do so. Guys, at this point, as I am finishing this beer, it's 10:30. Got a real busy day at work tomorrow, unfortunately. So I want to get a nice little bit of sleep this evening and hopefully relax a little bit for the rest of the night. I appreciate the hour and 35 minutes of your time tonight. As always, if you are new to the channel by any chance, hit the subscribe button, the little notify bell. If you've been around here for a while, if this is your first time, whatever it is, I really do appreciate whether you spend a second on the stream, whether you spend the entire hour and a half. It's super awesome to have you. Thank you so much for your questions, for your comments, for all the positive, negative thoughts. I don't really care. It's been fantastic to have you here tonight. Cheers with this chocolate peanut butter porter that was actually halfway decent. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Have a good one. Peace.